Hi, everybody. We're going to start in a minute. People are still coming in, maybe 2 minutes.
In the meantime, if you haven't already, you could download the iNaturalist app on your phones. That'll get you set up for later.
I don't know how to do that. I'm old.
All right, we'll go through it together. Don't worry.
Yeah, we'll go through that. Yeah.
So I don't get to see everybody that's here, right?
I think you just get to see us.
Okay.
Oh, no, I can see you. So some people might see you. It depends on how your view is set up. But you can turn off your camera if you don't want to be on camera.
No,
Right.
I don't care. I
All
don't
right.
care.
All right.
I just don't know if my name comes up, but I don't think it needs to, right?
It does, Krista. If your name's Krista, it comes up.
Good. It's me.
Okay. Well, we're glad you're here, Krista.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I've been pulling invasive vines all morning.
Oh, good for you.
They look like grapevines and they get these little red berries, but they're not grapes.
It sounds like porcelain berry, perhaps. Are they
Yeah.
blue, the berries, different colors, like rainbow colors, blue and purple and
Blue and purple,
yeah, it
Yeah,
could,
but
porcelain
not
berry.
yet.
yeah,
What?
not yet, but it sounds like porcelain berry. That's
Yeah.
a tough one. All right, there's a couple more people in the waiting room. Did we get them?
Got 'em.
All right. Well, how are we doing on time? Let's go ahead and start then. 7:03. I think most people are here, and if they come on in a minute or two, they won't miss a lot. Well, welcome everyone to the Long Island Invasive Species Management Area Bioblitz webinar for 2024.
Cool.
I'm Bill Jacobs. I'm the program manager for LISMA. I'm joined tonight by Abby Marino, our conservation area manager, Melody Cerniglia, our early detection and rapid response manager, and Cassidy Robinson, our education and outreach manager. We're holding our Bioblitz as part of the New York Invasive Species Awareness Week, also known as NYISAW, which runs from June 3rd to June 9th. And NYISAW is an annual event that promotes opportunities for members of the community to learn about invasive species and learn how to report them so that we can all protect our local ecosystems. And while NYISAW begins on June 3rd, our BioBlitz begins officially today. So you got a few extra days and it goes until June 9th. So for today's presentation, this is the agenda. We'll begin with an introduction to LISMA, invasive species, and the apps that we use to report invasive species. We'll look over our BioBlitz, how you can join the project, and how to make observations using iNaturalist. Following that, we'll describe some invasive species of interest and look forward to other events you can participate in during NYISAW during that week. What is LISMA? We are a group of organizations working together to reduce the threat of invasive species and protect local ecosystems in New York City and all across Long Island. Funding for LISMA is provided by the New York State Environmental Protection Fund as administered by the State Department of Environmental Conservation. And we are hosted by the Long Island Native Plant Initiative, which is a nonprofit group on Long Island that cultivates Long Island genotypes of native plants. There are two apps that we use for reporting invasive species and tracking them, and one is iNaturalist and the other is IMAP Invasives. Tonight we'll be using iNaturalist for our BioBlitz, and for the week we'll be using iNaturalist. The other app is IMAP Invasives, which is a geographic data management system that we use to map invasive species and manage our control projects over time. Both of these apps are free. They're available online or on your phone. You can download them right onto your phone, either one. But tonight we're going to use iNaturalist. And if anyone's interested in IMAP Invasives, the other one, it's a little more complicated. It does more. We'd be happy to talk to you about that one some other time. Tonight it's all iNaturalist. You may be surprised to hear, some of you may know, but some of you may not know, that Long Island is one of the most biologically diverse regions of the state. We have areas with the highest concentration of rare plants and animals in the state, including at our coastal plain ponds, like this one in Calverton, which is open to the public. It's Suffolk County Park, Calverton Ponds. We have globally rare species as well on Long Island. And we're here tonight because one of the greatest threats to our biological diversity is our invasive species. And now I'll turn it over to Cassidy, and Cass will tell us what is an invasive species.
Thanks, Bill. So some of you may already know this, might be review, but an invasive species is any a non-native species that harms the economy, environment, or human health. And by definition, it is outside of its native range, coming from another part of the world. So getting a little bit into the Bioblitz. What's a Bioblitz? It is a community science effort to make as many species observations using the app iNaturalist as possible within a given time frame and setting. So this is the Long Island Bioblitz, covering the entire LISMA region from Staten Island to Montauk, as well as Brooklyn and Queens. And in our case, this is the invasive species Bioblitz, but we're asking the LISMA community to observe both invasive species and native species of plants, animals, or fungi now until the end of NYISAW on June 9th. As Bill mentioned, we'll be using iNaturalist, and this is an online social network of people sharing biodiversity information to help each other learn about nature. You can identify and record any organisms with your smartphone, and this app is very cool. It uses a combination of artificial intelligence and community peer review to identify species. So if you're not sure, the app may suggest an identification of a species, and as well as community members can come in and suggest what they think it is in their sometimes expert opinion. And iNaturalist is a great tool that community members and professionals rely on. To date, there have been nearly 200 million observations globally. And iNaturalist is a fun, great way to learn and connect with nature, but it's also a powerful tool for conservation agencies like LISMA. And your reports could cue us in on a new infestation of invasive plants that we can tackle early on, or a rare species that we can work on protecting. So thank you in advance for helping us protect biodiversity in this way. Now that you know the benefits of using iNaturalist, let's jump in and get started. I'm going to go over some instructions for joining the project, so feel free to follow along as I go through. The most convenient way to observe species on the go is through the iNaturalist app. If you don't already have it, you can download that now, if possible. And once you have the app, you can make an account or log in. After logging in, you can scan that QR code or search up the Long Island Invasive Species Bioblitz 2024 to join the project. And then you should be able to click on the top right where it says join. And if you don't have a smartphone or you don't know how to download the app, you can also participate in the project by using their website. So you'd have to take pictures in the field and then go home and upload them to the computer. You'd follow the same steps to create an account and log in once you get to that website, and then search for the Long Island Invasive Species Bioblitz 2024 in the search bar. But make sure you put in that you're searching for a project, or else it won't come up. This is what that page should look like once you find our project. And in the top right, it says join. You'll just have to click there. Yeah, and once you're joined, your observations should automatically go into the iNaturalist project, so you don't have to do any special steps to get your observations to count towards the project. And now we have a short video to illustrate the process of making observations.
One second. Make sure I'm optimizing that share.
Okay, so you've installed the iNaturalist app and created an account. Time to get outside and record your first observation. Here's how to do it. Any living thing, like a plant, animal, or fungus, can be an observation on iNaturalist. Once you find something you'd like to record, just tap Observe and take a photo. You can review your picture, then hit Next if it looks good. To identify it, hit What did you see? If you have an internet connection, iNaturalist will suggest 10 visually similar species and often a common ancestor. You can choose one of those or search for a species name. On this observation details screen, you can add more photos of the same organism or write a note. The date, time, and location have been automatically added. You can also change the geoprivacy of the observation, mark whether it's captive or cultivated, or add it to a project. Once you're finished, just hit Share and your observation will be uploaded for everyone to see and identify. That's it. Keep on exploring and sharing.
Watch it again. There we go. Great. Thanks, Cass. So to add a little bit more about the great ways that you could share these observations, one great thing about the iNaturalist community is that you're not just posting a photo or observation into the void. There's people there that can help you identify what you're seeing, including us, or experts in like lichens. So you want to make sure that the observations that you're putting on there are of, the best quality that you can find, the best kind of photo. So we'll share some tips here. These are all not the best kind of picture for different reasons, whether they're blurry or too close up, not really showing descriptive parts of that organism. So we'll show some better kind of pictures that you can take. It can be helpful to isolate the species in question and to make sure that so if there's like 2 different flowers, you want to be able to focus on one so people know which one you're trying to identify. Having a reference object on hand can be helpful, like a coin or even your finger, so people get an idea of the scale. If you can have a solid background, that could usually help your camera focus on things. So if you have maybe a piece of paper or even just have your hand behind something, that could help just bring into focus what you want to be identifying. For aquatic plants, if you like aquatic plants, it can be helpful to have a little dish with water because you could really see the form of that aquatic plant, how it behaves in the water, which would be very different outside of the water. So if you like aquatic plants, consider taking a dish with you. Taking multiple photos can be really helpful for identification because depending on the species that you're looking at, there could be different features that are identifying. So flowers are usually useful. Flowers or fruits for plants. Sometimes taking pictures of the way the leaves are arranged on a stem, or the underside of the leaf, or if it's a tree, you could take a picture of the bark. These could all be helpful clues to help other people identify your observations. And for things like shells and mushrooms, you might want to take a picture of the underside. And lastly, that video mentioned the notes box. That could be really helpful for saying other things about the site, such as where you might have found it. This example says lots of this growing attached to litter and soil mixed with hardwood and crabapple. So maybe the other species that are around it can help clue in to the species that you're trying to identify. These are helpful things to keep in mind. That video also mentioned a checkbox for an observation being captive or cultivated, which is different from something being wild or naturalized. So if a plant is wild or naturalized, say like an oak tree in the forest, they exist in that place because they spread there naturally. Whereas if something is captive or cultivated, like the hydrangea in your backyard, that's something that you might have planted there. And so it's helpful to check that so that people like us or other people that are interested in following these species know what is occurring naturally and what has somebody planted there. So things in your backyard are a good example. You might want to check that as, I planted that, but I want to let people know that it's here. Or So maybe like a garden near a park entrance could be a helpful clue into, I think somebody planted this here because it's kind of in a garden area. And that lets us know that that hydrangea didn't just like go randomly into the middle of the forest. So those are some helpful things for observations. Just some key reminders for Bioblitz best practices to be safe, respectful, and have fun. Having water, sunscreen, and bug spray is a recipe for a good time outdoors. Also be aware of poison ivy, leaves of 3, let them be. Don't touch any part of poison ivy if you suspect it's poison ivy. Even those, the stems on a tree can be irritating to the skin. So be mindful when you're interested in a plant that you see and you're really excited about it, be mindful that there's not any poison ivy leaves that might be around it. And watch where your hands go and make sure you wash them definitely before eating. Now, we all know these guys, ticks, and it's very helpful to be mindful of them. They're out there. They especially live the edges of trails. So having long pants, bug spray, socks, and lint rollers to pick up any ticks that might be on your clothes can be really helpful. Make sure to check for ticks before you get in your car to leave, check for ticks on the pets that you might bring, and check your body thoroughly when you get home. Don't forget to check your scalp and between your toes. A thorough check of your body will save you much headache in the future. So we could still have fun outdoors, but just to be mindful that these little guys might be there. And lastly, be respectful of parks and property, being mindful of the rules that are posted, and not trespassing on private property. And remember that we're doing these observations to take pictures, to share information, but we're not collecting any plants or animals. If there's anything that you do pick up, try to put it back where you found it. And lastly, have fun. Posting your findings, bring a friend with you into the field. There's the journal feature on iNaturalist where you can share a little bit more detail about your findings if you like, or a really cool hike that you went on. We'd love to hear about it. And we'll be posting in there, especially on our Bioblitz Day at the Hempstead Plains. And we really hope this could be a chance to celebrate nature and native species and biodiversity and invasive species.
Great. Thanks, Abby. My name is Melody Cerniglia. I'm our Early Detection and Rapid Response Manager, and I'm going to talk to you guys about some invasive species that LISMA prioritizes for early detection and rapid response. So if you are interested in learning more after I go over these species with you, you could always visit our website at lisma.org and check out our species pages or our tier list, or you could also subscribe to our newsletter for our monthly species spotlights. Great. This is small carpet grass. Small carpet grass is a low-growing annual grass of wet areas. It has coarse, bristly, bright green stems and small, wide, flat leaves, lacking the white midrib that the similar species, stiltgrass, has. Small carpet grass also has a greenish-purple inflorescence in late summer and spreads vegetatively mostly via seeds. Small carpet grass's rapid growth and prolific seed production causes the plants to displace native grasses and reduce biodiversity. Small carpet grass is a tier 2 species in the LISMA region, listed for early detection and eradication. Okay, next we have orange candleflower or Arometallicum. Orange candleflower is a stemless woodland species that grows to about 12 to 18 inches tall. The plant has distinctive arrow-shaped foliage with white veins. Each flower of the orange candleflower consists of a standing finger-like spadix covered with minute, creamy white flowers and a large sheath-like light green spathe, which subtends and partially envelopes the spadix like a hood. The flowers are produced in the spring, and clusters of orange berries form in the summer and remain throughout August. Orange candleflower is a tier 3 species in the LISMA region listed for containment. Next, we have hardy kiwi. Hardy kiwi is a deciduous woody vine that can grow up to 20 feet per year. The bark is brown with lenticels and distinctive leaf bud scars. The shiny leaves are ovate, alternate, sharply serrated, and remain green late into autumn. It has fragrant whitish green flowers with purple anthers that bloom around midsummer. Hardy kiwi produces green, grape-sized fruits with many seeds, and it readily germinates under a closed canopy and can climb and smother surrounding vegetation. This growth pattern allows it to crowd out native vegetation and reduce biodiversity. Hardy kiwi is a Tier 2 species in the Lisma region, listed for early detection and eradication. The invasive yam is a tuberous perennial vine that can grow up to 11 feet or more and can form dense masses that cover and kill native vegetation, including trees, within a variety of moist, disturbed habitats. It has glossy green, heart-shaped leaves with long petioles and spreads by seed and tubers in the leaf axils. It occasionally flowers in small axillary clusters. The elongated tuber grows 2 to 3 feet long. The invasive yam is a Tier 2 species in the Lisma region, listed Tier 2 species in the Lisma region, listed for early detection and eradication. Next, we have Haliosmanthus, which is an evergreen shrub or a small tree with opposite, leathery, dark to light green leaves that can be entire or heavily spined. The leaves can also sometimes be variegated. This plant was brought to North America as a landscape plant and is often used as a hedge, border, screening, or barrier plant. It has become increasingly popular in local landscapes due to its deer resistance, shade tolerance, and glossy evergreen spiny foliage. It looks very similar to our Native American holly, especially the seedlings, but the main difference being that the leaves are opposite and more heavily spined. Haliosmanthus is a Tier 3 species in the Lisma region, listed for containment. Okay, next we have maidenhair grass or Miscanthus sinensis. Miscanthus or maidengrass is a perennial grass that grows in clumps up to 12 feet tall. It is a popular ornamental plant that frequently escapes cultivation and is still widely sold despite its invasiveness. The flowers are dense, feathery, fan-shaped panicles that are about 1 feet long. The clumps grow in a vase-like shape and the leaf blades flare out at the end. Leaves have a distinct white midrib, as you can see in the photo. Miscanthus can spread via rhizomes or by its prolific seed heads, and it poses a threat to a range of ecosystems, including grasslands and forest understories. Since it is tolerant of poor soil and fire, it poses a threat to the pine barrens as well. Miscanthus is a Tier 4 species in the Lisma region, listed for local control. Next, we have Ravenna grass. Ravenna grass is a clumping perennial grass that can grow up to 12 feet tall. It has densely hairy leaf blade bases that can cause skin irritation. It has slightly serrated leaf margins and a white midrib on the leaf blade. The plant also has reddish, silvery plumes and reddish cane-like stems. Ravenna grass is a Tier 2 species in the Lisma region, listed for early detection and eradication. Okay. Our next species is giant reed or Arundodonax. Giant reed is a clumping perennial with cane-like stems that can grow up to 30 feet tall. It has wide, pale green, blue-green, alternately arranged leaves, about 2 to 3 inches across, that clasp and they have hairs on them. Sometimes the leaves can be variegated as well. Giant reed spreads primarily by creeping rhizomes, as the seeds are not viable, and results in monolithic stands that are difficult to remove and which prevent native species from growing in their place. It can be found mostly in riparian or moist areas, and the plant is very flood tolerant. Giant reed is a Tier 2 species in the Lisma region, listed for early detection and eradication.
Melody, can I interrupt for a sec?
Sure.
We're seeing some of those gray boxes back. Abby, if you can, they're at the top. Or one just went. Well, it went to the bottom. That might not be better. It was probably better at the top.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
sorry,
thank you.
everybody. We're having an odd situation with these little gray boxes tonight. Okay, all right, that's better. There's a gray box at the top right.
Someone said they're following the cursor. Like maybe if you
Got
stop moving.
smaller. Maybe if you leave it over there, that's okay. Yeah, that's okay. It's still there, but it's way up in the top right. Okay, carry on.
Thanks. Next slide. Okay, next we have plume poppy or Maclea cordata. Plume poppy is an herbaceous, clump-forming perennial plant that spreads by rhizomes and shades out native understory growth. It has scalloped leaf margins with many lobes and a gray underside to the leaf with light to dark green leaves on top. The stems are hollow and have a yellow sap inside. The plant produces 16-inch terminal panicles of airy, apetalous inflorescences, which means they don't have any petals. The plume poppy is a tier 2 species in the Lisma region listed for early detection and eradication. And lastly, we have beefsteak plant. Beefsteak plant is an annual herbaceous plant in the mint family. It can grow up to 3 feet tall and 1.5 feet wide. It has opposite, ovate, and leathery leaves with coarse serrations that have a distinct scent and taste. It is known for its prolific spread due to wind-dispersed seeds, and as an annual known for producing copious amounts of seed, it spreads readily into natural areas, causing alterations in the diversity of the communities it invades. The plant is often found in open pastures, wooded areas, and along roadsides, railroads, and trails. Beefsteak plant is a tier 3 species in the Lisma region listed for containment. Now I'm going to pass it over to Cass with some information on upcoming NYISAW events.
Thanks, Melody. Yeah, so to reiterate, all of those species are some you might want to look out for during the Bioblitz. There's a full list of many invasive species, more common ones as well, that you may be more likely to see on the LISMA website. So you might want to go out and identify something. You might see that it's invasive, and then you could look up more about it on lisma.org. Great. So as Bill mentioned, this is part of NYISAW, which is happening from June 3rd to 9th. To find out more about NYISAW, there's nyis.info/NYISAW with a full listing of events as well as on the LISMA website. And we have this little calendar of local events happening on Long Island. So you can see some events here. Feel free to take a photo. This also went out in our newsletter, so you may have seen it already. And I'll go into some more events on the next slide. So one way to engage with the Bioblitz is to do so independently. You might go for a walk or just step out into your yard and see what's out there. But we're also hosting an in-person Bioblitz walk at the Hempstead Plains on Friday, June 7th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. You can register by scanning that QR code. It's also on our website. And this should be a really fun time. We'll take a walk. We'll hear a little bit about the ecology of the plains. There's a really unique grassland ecosystem. And then you'll have some time to walk with us and then explore independently and see what kind of plants and animals you can find. Mostly plants, but maybe some birds too and creatures. Next slide, please. And as well, we have a upcoming webinar next Monday, June 3rd from 1 to 2 p.m. On storytelling in the language of invasive species outreach, where we'll go over best practices in communicating about invasive species. This may be really useful if you'd like to teach your friends about invasive species, or you work with volunteers, or do this professionally, or you just want to, sit in and see what you can learn. And there's also a code to register for that as well. All right, that about sums it up. Thank you everyone for attending. Let us know if you have any questions or if you need any help troubleshooting getting set up on the Bioblitz. Thank you.
Hey, Cass, there was a couple of people that came in a few minutes late. So maybe I thought I might summarize.
Yeah, go ahead.
And help me here. But we're running a Bioblitz from today until June 9th. And a Bioblitz is where you take the iNaturalist app on your phone and record as many species as you can see. They can be native species. We're very interested in invasive species, so if you see any invasive species, record those as well. The iNaturalist app is free. Just go to the App Store on your smartphone and search for iNaturalist and download it. There's also a website. I use both because the website shows all the species that you've observed over the years in a nice layout that's a little easier to see than on your phone. So there's an iNaturalist website as well, and either on your phone or on the website, you can log in, create a login name and a password to log into iNaturalist. And once you have that, then please register for our project, which is Long Island Invasive Species Project 2024. So if you search for projects, once you're in iNaturalist, there's a spot somewhere where you can search for a project. Might be easier on the website. And then join the project. So download the app and join the project. And then until June 9th, go out and find as many species as you can. What else, Cass?
I think you summed it up. Someone is asking for the project link, if we have that.
And while Cass is looking for that, one of the coolest things about iNaturalist, well, there's a couple cool things, but one of the coolest things is that you can keep a diary of every species you've ever seen, a running diary. You can use this for years, and some people have hundreds of species that they've observed, and it stays in their iNaturalist page. Cass mentioned, or Abby mentioned the iNaturalist community that helps you identify things. If you're not sure what a plant is, someone in the community will jump in and say, I think it's this, or I think it's that. It's really a fun way to record everything. Birds, doesn't have to be just plants, birds, reptiles, anything you see out there, you can record in iNaturalist and become part of the community. And then we, as conservation scientists, we use this information to go out and find some invasive species that turn up on iNaturalist.
Someone also said in the chat that apparently Android doesn't allow you to join projects. You have to do it on the web interface.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I have Android on my phone. I have both, but yeah, it might be easier on the website. But anyway, so. Any other questions? I saw in the chat people have been out already controlling invasive plants, and someone mentioned it at the beginning.
Thank you.
Krista, yeah.
No, thank you. I mean, I was a little lost with a couple of the descriptions, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah, you won't, the plant IDs, you won't remember all those plants, but just take a picture of whatever plants you see out there and
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This video is also being recorded, and we're gonna post it, right?
Okay.
Yeah, can I ask a question about the Bioblitz? So, hi, this is Hildur.
Hi.
I just wanted to know, if we join a project, does then everything we record go into that project, or how does that?
Yes, it'll automatically go into the Bioblitz project once you're joined.
Oh,
And yes.
For the
exciting.
week. For the week of the Bioblitz.
That's awesome. Thanks.
And
Thank you,
for
everybody.
for that week, the more species, the better.
Someone asked also if the Seek app is the same as the iNaturalist app, and they are connected. If you have an iNaturalist account and you download Seek, sometimes Seek is a little bit faster than iNaturalist because you just hold the camera in front of the plant and it just shows you the name of the plant if it knows the right plant. And yeah, that can be helpful too. And then you can use Seek to download or upload to iNaturalist.
There's a raised hand. Let's see.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay.
Yeah, the thing of the last note that you made, you have to upload from Seek to iNaturalist. You have to connect your account, your iNaturalist account, to the Seek app, and you have to explicitly upload things in order for them to show up in the project.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good point. Yes.
That is a
Seek-
good point.
Seek was designed for privacy. So everything in Seek is kept on your phone. It's, so that people who are under the age of 13 can participate in some way. But you're collecting your observation set just on that device. It doesn't get uploaded or anything. No information gets exchanged with the website unless you connect your account and explicitly upload it. So just be aware of that.
Good point. And on iNaturalist, yeah, that's a great point. Thank you for saying that. You're still anonymous in a sense. You can have a login name or something, but people can talk to you back and forth. But they won't know where you live or anything, or they don't need to know your real name, things like that.
I never heard of Seek. What is it?
It's kind of I see it as a streamlined version of iNaturalist. It helps people identify things really quickly.
So you sign up for it as an app?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
I'll look for it. It's
they're connected.
SEEK?
They're made by the same people.
Okay.
I would for the Bioblitz, I would recommend iNaturalist, but check out Seek also
Okay.
if you'd like.
And
They
it's
do the same thing.
iNaturalist.org?
iNaturalist does a little more, I think.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you so much for all your information.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good night.
You
And
too.
if anyone has any questions, our email address is invasive. It's on the last slide. invasive@lisma.org. invasive@lisma.org. Shoot us an email if you have any questions or run into any problems or issues with it, and we'll try to get right back to you. There's the email address there. That email address goes to all four of us, so one of us will answer.
And the Bioblitz is open as of now, so get out there, go for a walk, observe something, have fun, and observe lots of species until June 9th and onwards through the summer.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.